Let's make some hibachi rice and noodles on the Weber 36-inch flat top griddle. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode with show Chilling and Grilling. Well, today we're chilling and grilling. We're gonna do some hibachi noodles with Denver steak, with some lo mein noodles and vegetables, a shrimp fried rice as well. We're gonna start with our vegetables, we're gonna move on to our meats, and then we're gonna do your rice and your noodles. You have to clean your griddle right after you finish cooking because you're going to use some soy sauce, some teriyaki sauce. They have some sugars and salts and stuff in there, and that really likes to stick to your griddle. I hope you guys really enjoy this episode. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. That will go a long ways of getting this new channel up off the ground. I really appreciate every single one of you guys watching. Let's get to cooking. So I'm just going to boil these Simply Asia Chinese lo mein noodles over here. As soon as the water comes to a rolling boil, just drop all the noodles in there. Let them cook. I cook them for about 4 minutes, even though the packaging says to cook for 7 minutes. And that's because when we go back out on the griddle to cook, they're going to keep cooking more. So you don't want them cooked fully now, otherwise they will become way too soft. And it's just not fun eating them when they're overcooked like that. I just defrosted some large frozen shrimps. They're like the 31 to 40 count. And after that, we're just going to chop them up real fine. I'm just using some Old Bay seasoning over here to put them on top of the shrimp. And they will just sit in that bowl until we are ready to cook and go out on the griddle. That way the shrimps will absorb a good amount of flavor from the seasoning. Make sure to evenly distribute the seasoning in the bowl, just like that. Now take about a pound of your favorite type of steak. Over here I'm using some Denver steak, and just finely slice it, very thin and very small. And what I do after I slice everything, I take a little Ziploc bag, I put all the steak bits and pieces in there, and then I'm going to take some soy sauce, the regular curcumin. If you want, you can use low sodium. Just put about a tablespoon or two of that in there. Take out all the air from the bag and just mix it up and marinate it. Let it sit in the fridge until you're ready to cook. The vegetables, I take 2 full-size zucchinis, just cut them up in half and then slice them 3 or 4 times so you have a good size. After that, I take an onion, medium size, also some frozen mixed vegetables. The noodles are now finished. I just strained them and cooled them down. Put them in a bowl, put some olive oil or any type of oil you like on them, shake them up, and just let them sit until we're ready to cook. We're gonna start off with the vegetables right here. I have the first 3 out of the 4 burners on medium heat. The last burner is completely turned off. Throw down some oil. I'm just using some avocado oil here. Add a little bit more oil as needed and give the veggies a good toss in the oil so to prevent them from sticking to the griddle at all times. I'm just gonna chop the zucchinis in half. This way it'll be a much more manageable bite when you're eating your food. I'm just using some regular soy sauce here. I just watered it down just a little bit because my family doesn't like their food too salty. So just gonna put a little bit of that on there for flavor, and then grab the dome so I can cover the veggies and let them steam so they can cook. They'll still be a little bit crunchy. You don't want to overcook them. Almost like al dente, if you will. Like when you make pasta, it's cooked but not completely through. It still has a little bit of a bite to it. So I'm gonna try and get all the veggies underneath that dome as best as possible, and they're just gonna sit there and steam pretty much for the rest of the time that I'm gonna cook everything else on the rest of the griddle. I will lower the heat by just a little bit, just under half. They will be perfect by the time I'm done. So here's my steak. It's been marinating for a couple hours in the fridge. Make sure your heat is on medium-high, give or take, and then try and separate the steak pieces as good as possible for even cooking. I'm not going to cook it for too long, around medium. You don't want to go any higher than that, otherwise it becomes really, really chewy. So I'm just gonna give it a quick sear. You can see I'm separating everything over here, just so you can cook everything kind of evenly. I'm about ready to get this steak off of here. As you can tell, there's still some bits that are pink, which is perfect. I'm just gonna move that away. We're gonna give this a quick clean. I'm just using some plain water to clean up the griddle so it can steam everything and just get everything off so I can be ready for the next cook. This last burner is completely off, so it should not get much heat over here. Let me check on the veggies. Oh yeah, they're getting a bit of a char. That's what we like to see. Just have some rice over here. It's been just resting in the fridge since morning. So I'm just gonna get this on the griddle. So we're gonna spread out the rice nice and evenly. We're gonna put a little bit of oil on there so it doesn't stick too much to the griddle. Put some soy sauce in there. You can use low sodium if you like. I'm just gonna take 3 eggs and put them in the middle of the rice, and then I'm just gonna mix it right away this time, just because the way the weather is over here today. So whenever I mix the eggs and the rice right away, what I try and do is spread out the rice in a nice thin even layer. That way the eggs that's mixed with the rice can cook nice and evenly. So if you notice, that's exactly what I'm doing here, spreading it out and then flattening it again. And I'm just going to take the scraper because the egg likes to stick sometimes if there's not enough oil in there. And then you take the rice after you like the way the eggs are cooked and push it aside. So at this point in the cook, I'm just going to take the dome off of the veggies so they don't overcook and become too soft. After that, I'm just going to take a little bit of oil, put it down so we can go ahead and put the shrimps down right in that little bit of oil that we put. At this point, I'm pretty happy with the way the veggies are, so I turned the heat all the way to low and pushed all the veggies to one side. In the shrimps, I just put in some Old Bay seasoning, and we're just gonna lightly cook them because shrimps cook really, really quick. Today it's super, super windy, so everything's taking a little bit longer than usual. At this point, I'm pretty happy with the way the shrimps are. They're just a little bit undercooked, so I'm just gonna go ahead and mix them with the rice as evenly as possible. Leave them in the off side of the griddle. That way they can slowly come up to temperature and they don't overcook. Now we're gonna take some oil again and put it down on the griddle so we can get the noodles put on there. The noodles like to stick a lot sometimes. It just depends. Today it's been really cold, so I know for a fact that they were gonna stick. So you just have to go a little bit heavier on the oil. Just keep mixing them until they don't stick anymore. I put some soy sauce down again, and I'm gonna continue to mix them as evenly as possible. I'm just using some teriyaki sauce. You don't have to use the same teriyaki sauce that I'm using, and I'm just putting maybe about a quarter to a third cup of teriyaki sauce in the whole package of noodles. That's about enough for us. And just go ahead and mix up the sauce with the noodles as evenly as possible. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of finishing oil, which is toasted sesame oil. I put a little bit on the rice and the noodles to give it that authentic flavor and smell. You have to try it. It is absolutely amazing what it can do for your food. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with the way the noodles are, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move the steak or the meat over and try and mix it in with the noodles. I'm just gonna put a little bit of black pepper in there. I'm using a coarse ground, and then of course the good old sriracha sauce. Just put about maybe a tablespoon of it. That's more than enough. It honestly is not very spicy in that much food, and it just kind of brings out the flavor just a little bit more. And then go ahead and mix in the vegetables to the best of your abilities. I'm doing what I can. The weather is still super crappy and windy, but we're almost done with this cook, so no biggie. I'm pretty happy at this point the way the noodles are with the vegetables and the meat and everything. So I'm gonna do my absolute best not to drop a single piece of noodle or meat or vegetable on the ground and try and get everything in that container over there. I was worried that half of my food is just gonna go flying away when doing this. That's what it looks like. It came out looking great. So now let's turn our attention to the rice here. I'm just gonna bring it back to the burners, which are hot. Move them over, put some coarse ground black pepper. You can use regular ground black pepper, it's no big deal. Put maybe about a quarter cup of teriyaki sauce in there. Mix everything up really nice and well. Of course, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of sriracha sauce in there, maybe about half a tablespoon or so, just to give it a little bit more flavor. Mix in everything nice and well, and we should be able to take off the rice. So at this point, I'm going to turn the griddle on high on all the burners so I can clean it and season it before storing it away. Let's carefully and very carefully get all that rice off of the griddle, and let's get it into our container here. I think I did a pretty good job because the winds were around 40-45 miles an hour today, and it was no joke. I'm not even kidding. I lost a couple of eggs earlier that I had to replace. Let's go ahead and clean this griddle right now since it's already hot. Honestly, that's the best and easiest way to conserve some fuel and also get it cleaned and seasoned up as quickly as possible. So I just scraped off all the big bits using the scraper, and now I'm just going ahead and using some room temperature water. If the water is too cold and if you put a lot of it, it's gonna cool down your griddle really fast. So I'm just using the water as necessary. So I'm just putting it on small parts of the griddle to let it steam up. And as you can see over there, the water was pretty clear. So that part is already pretty cleaned up. And I'm just going to repeat this process all over the griddle at this point, going part by part. And as soon as that's taken care of, I'm just going to put down maybe about a tablespoon and a half or so of some oil. I'm using avocado oil over here since it has a high smoke point. You can also use grapeseed oil or any other neutral high smoke point oil that you like. I'm just going to go ahead and take a paper towel, low lint or no lint towel, and go ahead and spread everything evenly all across the griddle on all the edges and whatnot. After that, once you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and grab a fresh towel, which I'm going to soak up any extra residual oil, because if any of the oil pools up, it honestly leaves like sticky spots on your griddle and is not as non-stick as one would like. So just do this and you'll be better off.
Hey guys, so welcome back. I'm gonna try the food that we just made today. We did some hibachi noodles. I just topped it with some yum yum sauce and some sriracha sauce. And same thing with the rice. I love sriracha and yum yum sauce, especially with hibachi style cooking. That is so good. Just like the restaurants, the meat is tender, not chewy at all. This is absolutely delicious. If you guys have a griddle, you guys definitely have to try a hibachi dish. And if you don't, you need to get a griddle. It is seriously life-changing. You can make so much different kinds of food on it and so easily and quickly. And you can make food for the whole family in a matter of like 20 to 30 minutes. I highly recommend it. The rice came out delicious, the noodles came out delicious. The vegetables are cooked perfectly with a little bit of bite and crunch to them. Nothing is overcooked or undercooked. I think it's perfect. Thank you guys for joining me on this episode of Show Chilling and Grilling. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Good night.